You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello, I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. So excited to be here with you today. We're going to be talking about identifying life lessons. So, it could be patience that we're learning. It could be how to manage conflict. It could be how to be more driven. So when life gives you those hurdles, kind of be able to step back, look at it and say, okay, what can I learn from this situation, this experience? And that is how you live full out and grow and expand. Now, stay with us because in our next segment, we're going to have Kristen Percy, who's also going to be talking about how when she was at 5 years old, she was in an accident that led her to be paralyzed from the waist down. But yet, what has her world been like in terms of dating, getting a job, and how does she have such a positive attitude today despite all those hurdles? And also, if you want to hear today's show again, we always want to make sure that you're supported. Just go to livingfullout.com, go to our radio page. All the episodes will be there for you. And if you're on the go or you have an Alexa, just, go to the App Store or just look for Living Full Out Radio. And again, show after show after show will be there to keep you empowered. And again, today, identifying life lessons, that could be in everything you do, right? You're driving along and the tire pops, okay? And you're pulling over and people are honking and they're embarrassed and you're waiting for AAA. There's a lesson there, right? Or you go on a date and you thought the person was different than they actually are, and then you invest some time on the date and you're like, I wish I wasn't here. There's a lesson there, right? Maybe better screening on the phone before you commit to that in-person date. For me, I really try to identify these life lessons. I realize I'm kind of into the motivational world here big time, but I literally every day want to kind of almost check myself sometimes. When I have a call and maybe it lands on me in a way that feels uncomfortable or, unsettling or kind of surprised, I try to ask myself, okay, what might be going on in that person's day? Or what could I have said or given them or done differently to make the outcome better? And then other times I go along in my day and I almost give myself a little bit of props, right? Because I think we've all been there where you're having a really bad day, but yet you've managed to have a good attitude about it despite everything going on. Even when you have those days, I want you to get to the end of the day and I want you to celebrate. I don't feel well today, but you know what? I kept to my commitments. I did it. I did my best. Treat yourself to dinner. Treat yourself to sleeping in tomorrow, whatever that is. But that again is identifying life lessons and growing from them. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we have a listener on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy. This is Amy. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Yes, how can I help you?
Nancy, I'm really looking for your input or your advice. What advice would you have for someone like me? I'm a mother of 3 teenagers, and these days I find myself just dealing with a lot of guilt and conflict because in this global pandemic that we're dealing with, I find that I have to really put limits on what I permit my teenagers to do and how much I permit them to socialize. And yet, I'm really conflicted with having to balance what I know is the right thing in terms of keeping my household safe and healthy, but yet wanting to let my kids live out these teenage years and maximize their time as a teen. How can I balance these feelings of this conflict or this guilt with knowing that I'm doing the right thing by keeping them safe and at home?
That's actually a great question. I mean, I know you wish you could bubble wrap them and send them out into the world fully protected, right? But the truth is,
right,
there are things around us that we can't control, obviously the pandemic being one of them. And, parents are in a bit of a crossroad right now because exactly what you're saying, you want to protect them, but yet you want them to enjoy being kids and teenagers and so forth. But you always have to look back at your life, the you before you were a mom, and what the you also had to be concerned about. We've had other pandemics, we've had other health crises, but yet life kept going. But we were careful. We were careful when different health issues came out, but we still kept living along. And same goes for things that are unexpected, like I hate to say it, kidnapping and abductions have been around for a long time. Having your kids look both ways. There's hit and runs all the time, right? So, and we always have to be. Sometimes we're nervous about when our kid finds Mr. or Mrs. Right, but you should be more concerned about Mr. or Mrs. Wrong, right? The wrong relationship, the abusers out there. So all you can really do is just take the life lessons that you've garnished over the years and impress that upon them. The other thing is, if they don't go out there and they don't make mistakes and they don't see the truth of the world, then that's also going to shadow or, kind of adjust their way of making their own opinions. So sometimes they have to go out there and they have to have a job and then maybe see the job close because of the pandemic to go, wow, this is real. I thought I was safe at work. Or sometimes they have to go on that date and it's not really a good date. Do you see what I'm saying? So you want to consider right now, you can keep them at home as long as you can, but they have to go out there. They have to be social. They have to get jobs. They have to study. They have to live life full out. But what is the one thing, without overwhelming yourself, what is the one biggest takeaway, biggest life lesson that you've gotten? First thing that comes to mind.
The importance of family and being together.
Okay. And you've learned that over time. You've kind of maybe had time with your family, away from your family, and you know how much you love it. And now you have your own family, right?
Yep.
So I think you just impress upon them that and maybe look at this pandemic, not with the scary side, but the positive side, how it's allowed us all to kind of have this pause of time and be at home and, let's play Jenga, let's play Twister, let's play, video games together. Now, as this pandemic fades away, it will in time, there'll be a new normal. What would be a second life lesson that you want to make sure you give them?
Well, I think it's going to be that, and kind of along the lines of what you were saying is there are risks in this world and we have to learn how to take those risks and get out there and do it in a safe and careful way.
Well, and I love that you said that. And one of the things that you might consider doing as a parent, I'm not saying you have to go out there and write your memoir or your book, right? But you might start journaling. And it might be a reflection of the tips I want to give my kids. And maybe that's a place where you start to funnel all these great insights. I'm sure they would appreciate years down the line, not even knowing that their mom did this, and poof, there's this gift that you can give them. Or maybe you start new habits at the kitchen table. What are the highs and lows of the days? What are your dreams? What are your fears of the day? And again, a lot of family bonding can be done around that. Maybe around the kitchen table. What is one thing that you want to do as soon as everything opens up and we feel a little bit more free? What is that one thing? It'd be really interesting to hear from all your kids. What is that one thing? What is the
that's true. That's very
What is
true.
the one life lesson that they got out of this pandemic? Maybe it's family, maybe it's something else. So I think it's great conversation starters. But I think if you do that and you just always lead with your heart, you won't go wrong. But remember that you and I, we both know that we only got here by falling and picking ourselves up. Falling or picking ourselves up. And they need to do the same thing. Can you try that?
Okay. Yes, that's very helpful and very insightful. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you for calling in.
Sure.
And for everybody listening, I love that she brought up all of those points, right? Because life lessons are kind of sneaky. They kind of wiggle in there. A life lesson may come to you in the shower. You're reflecting on your day. You're thinking about how the day is going to go if it's early in the morning. And And those little insights, they're almost like little knocks on your mental door. You want to hear them, you want to acknowledge them, and then grow. Now, I want to make sure that you feel free to call in throughout the show, but stay with us because our inspirational guest, Kristen Percy, is coming up. And I got to tell you, yes, I'm blind. I've had my hurdles, but to be paralyzed in a wheelchair and to have gone through what she's navigated, I think you're going to find it very relatable. Stay with us. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. We'll be right back.
Hi, professional skateboarder Tony Hawk here with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck to remind you to get moving every day.
Because when you get moving an hour a day,
you'll have the energy to skate through anything.
Nice play on words, Doc.
That's how I roll, Bugs. So whether you like to work the half pipe,
now that's catching air,
kick the soccer ball around, or dance in your room,
just move it your way.
For an hour a day.
The way you like to move, as long as you're moving.
Carve out some time every day and get active. Because it's time to do a 180 on what you think exercise is.
Because it can be whatever you want it to be. So be a player.
Be a player.
Get up and play an hour a day, Doc. Check out how to be a player at letsmove.gov.
Head online to get tips on great ways to get moving every day.
At www.letsmove.gov. Let's hear that one more time, Doc. That's www.letsmove.gov. A message from the Ad Council and HHS.
I'm Nancy Solari, Certified Life and Business Coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Bootcamp. During the bootcamp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
I'm Sarah, and this is my story.
I'm Ellen, and this is my story.
One night, I was at a bar.
I
was having fun with my friends.
I
had one too many drinks.
I
got behind the wheel to go home.
I got a cab to go home.
All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a squirrel ran across the road. It happened so quickly, I barely had time to react.
The cabbie barely had time to react.
I swerved.
The cab swerved.
I can't believe it. I hit a guy.
I cannot believe it. The cabbie just missed a guy.
I wish I took a cab.
Thank goodness I took a cab.
You have the choice to save a life. Don't drive buzzed. It's a decision you'll never regret. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
If you think depression is all in a person's head, you're right. It's a brain illness. And like other illnesses, it has symptoms. Depression can make those who suffer from it feel hopeless. It can even lead to suicide. Learn how to stop depression from taking another life. Call SAVE, Suicide Awareness Voices of Education, 1-888-511-SAVE, on the web at save.org.
I'm Alec Baldwin. Like any parent, I'm concerned about children's health. Many kids don't eat as they should and are at risk for long-term health problems like diabetes and heart disease. But here's good news. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other low-fat vegetarian foods can protect our kids and keep the rest of the family healthy too. For a free booklet, call the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine at 1-877-685-KIDS or visit www.kidsgethealthy.org.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about identifying life lessons. And as always, we try to bring you an inspirational guest that demonstrates that so perfectly. And today we have Kristen Percy, who is today paralyzed from the waist down due to a car accident early in her life. And so she's going to share with us how she's kind of navigated those waters, but yet today is living full out, has such an optimistic attitude. So we want to crack that code, Kristen. So welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Happy to have you. Now, it's wild because this December, the 27th, right? It'll be 30 years since your accident that happened way back in 1990, right? So
yeah, it's wild.
Isn't that wild? 30 years.
Yeah, I know. I can't get over it. I was 5 years old, so it's been a while.
Yeah. Now, I know that, you were asleep during the time of the accident, which is a good thing. I know that day your mom didn't have the booster. You had a lap belt on. You were buckled in, but yet the outcome of that had you become paralyzed from the waist down. And why was that?
Just the way the accident happened and where the seatbelt happened to be hitting, and just for better or for worse, it happened so quickly, and just wrong spot, wrong time.
Right, with the spinal cord at that point, that's where the injury occurred. And I know your mom had many injuries to her jaw, her head, her nose. Your sister broke her ankle. Sadly, your cousin didn't make it. So we're really glad that you are with us today. And you were just a bitty girl, 5 years old, with your first wheelchair, but you were a kid at heart. So what did you go with?
Yeah, so I went with the Barbie wheelchair that was pink and purple, and it came with a free Barbie. It wasn't the best wheelchair, but it came with the Barbie.
Well, and I know that, although you were in a wheelchair, your family was a tight-knit group. Your brother would carry you down and carry you up the stairs every morning, every night. But I know that you really tested your parents with that Barbie wheelchair, such as going down a ramp with no arms. And I'm curious, where did that freedom come from? And weren't you nervous to fall out of your chair and get an injury?
I wasn't, and I don't know if part of that is just being a kid and you get used to, before the accident, you trip and fall and you get back up. And so I think part of it is just, it all depends on the kid. I happen to be a pretty adventurous kid from pretty much when I came out of the womb, and always gave my parents a little bit of a run for their money. So I think that just continued.
Now, when you first had the accident and went to school, you were going to school with kids who already knew you. But I know at one point your family had to move because you really needed to get a more accessible home, which led you to go into a new school. And you did feel picked on. And why was that?
I'm sorry, it cut out there just for a second.
Yeah, so when you went to your new school and you were being bullied and picked on, why were they making fun of you?
I think it's somewhat normal for kids to find, whatever somebody's difference is and to kind of exploit that. For me, I was one of only two kids in a wheelchair at the school, and I was the only one who I was cognitively there. So I was kind of an easy target, and the chair is easy to kind of push around. And I was pretty timid when I first started at the new school. I didn't know anyone, and I think certainly that was maybe taken advantage of a bit by some other kids.
Now, being in the wheelchair growing up from 5 onward into your teenage years, as you started to grow into the chair and find your independence, did you find that you were still kind of intimidated, or did you use humor, or how did you find your way to fit in?
Yeah, I think that everybody has their own techniques. For me, what was really something that connected me to my peers was my love of music, and that was something that, didn't have a barrier to it. And freshman year of high school, one of my close friends at my then even newer school told me I should join marching band, and I kind of thought he was crazy because there was no way I could march. But I joined marching band, and that was such just a huge influence of joy for me, and brought me around new students that I hadn't been around or exposed to before.
Well, and that is great that there's like group opportunities like that, and that's a perfect example of you living full out even in your high school years. Now, I know for you, you wanted to hit the milestone of driving even like everybody else, and you had to get creative with that. How did you make that happen?
Yeah, so, it's funny. I wanted to drive from when I was 5 or 6 years old. I just wanted a 94 Mustang convertible, like every little girl wants, I'm sure. And I turned 16. My dad took me to get my learner's permit, and then he found a facility in Rochester, which is about 2.5 hours from where I grew up in New York State. And they would come out every week and give me driving lessons on a specially equipped car. And it was fantastic.
Now, the thing that I find is so interesting is you didn't go with a van that would be outfitted for somebody with a disability. You wanted a normal car, and so you actually found just that. And amazingly, you would like pull your wheelchair and like fling it in the back, and but it's why was having a normal car so important to you?
I think especially in high school, you think of a van and you think of, a mom with kids or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's not like a cool car. And so many of my friends had cool cars. And my kind of mentor, who's a friend of mine who's about 12 years older than me, she was also paralyzed in a car accident, a very similar type of car accident when she was a child. And she had a normal car, so I got the exact same car that she had. And it really, I think having her and having somebody like that to look up to and who had come before me and done a lot of the hard things ahead of me made it easier for me, and also made it easier to go to my parents with saying, hey, I want to drive this cool kind of car, and Stacy already does it, and she makes it look easy.
But see, I love that you, again, kind of are resourceful, right? You're finding a way to stay right in the same lane as everybody else who's able. You just have to do it differently. And I think, when we talk today about identifying life lessons, that definitely seems to be a lesson, is you just have to figure out how to crack the code for what you want to do like everybody else, but do it your way, right? So everybody stay with us, because we're going to have more with Kristen shortly. Today it is all about identifying life lessons and really going out there and having a raw and a vigor for life. So I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac Mcgee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac Mcgee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Nancy Solari, host of the Living Full Out Show. I am excited to let you know that we are now associated with Alexa. If you have Alexa in your house and you didn't know that, go ahead and find Living Full Out because you can hear us anytime you want, and we're there for you to keep you motivated. Go to your app store because we're located there as well. Just look for the Living Full Out radio show. It's important to us that we put out really inspiring programming, but we want to make sure that you have it at your fingertips when you need us most. We never know when those challenges are going to come, when we're going to feel lonely and need that motivation. So just know that when you need us, we're here for you. Check out Alexa, the app stores, or go to livingfullout.com. Here's to you living full out.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait, communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about identifying life lessons. Those lessons, they can be anywhere, right? In the shower, when you're driving in the car, or just sometimes someone can point it out to us that something is a life lesson. And our inspirational guest today, Kristen Percy, being paralyzed from the waist down due to a car accident when she was 5, has had her kind of find her own way through life and go through some awkward situations, but at the same time having many, many winning moments. So I'd like to welcome Kristen back to the show.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now, Kristen, I'm just going to go right to it because I don't care if you're blind like me, paralyzed from the waist down like you, or somebody who's fully able in every way. Dating is just super awkward. It can be strange, uncharted territories, but what I find interesting, though, today we are talking about identifying life lessons, and you did kind of make this jump from when you were dating, not telling people about being in a wheelchair, and then deciding to tell people. Why was that?
I think for a long time, I wanted people to just get to know me and judge me outside of the chair. And then after doing it that way for a while and not having it work out and feeling badly about myself because I felt like I had something to hide, I think it came with maybe self-confidence and self-acceptance that, I'm very upfront about it now because at the end of the day, somebody has to like all of you, and they have to like all of you from day one. And the chair is not something to be embarrassed by. And I think it's something to be embarrassed by, then chances are somebody else will be. So I've really started to embrace just all of myself and sharing kind of all of myself with somebody else from day one.
Well, and I know you've pondered that a lot, even when looking at the relationship between your parents. I mean, your dad had a heart attack in his late 30s, and that was unexpected, and your mom stood by him. So it kind of, I imagine, kind of gave you encouragement that, somebody will see you through also.
Absolutely. I think, disability, no matter what kind of disability it is a very interesting thing where it can happen to anyone at any time. And I don't say that to scare anyone, but just that it's a matter of fact of life. And so if you choose to be with someone and take care of them, or, emotionally even take care of them, a disability isn't something that should change that. If it would change how you feel about the relationship, then you need to re-examine the relationship. In my mind, I look at it very similarly. I had a pet, and it was a cat, and he started to go blind maybe when he was about 4 years old. Well, his new disability, didn't change the way I loved him, and didn't make me ever want to get rid of him. And I look at relationships in a very similar way.
Well, at least you, your cat, and me, we have a chance. We have a chance. People keep us. Don't stop loving the blind people. Yay, even the cats. I'm so happy to hear that. That's good. Good for my soul. I also am curious, we're in this strange time right now where a lot of job interviews are done by Zoom. Someone may or may not even know someone's in a wheelchair, but even that was a bit of a hurdle for you in people not giving you opportunities because they thought you couldn't do it. And how did that change your view of how to go out there and tackle your dreams career-wise?
It's something that still impacts my career. I wish I could say that it didn't, but it does. I'm human, and there would be job interviews where people would make comments about the chair. I had a dream job interview. It was for the job that I wanted more than anything. And the person who was interviewing me knew that I was in a chair, and she said to me, "Well, just so you know, this job is going to be a lot of work. Are you sure you can handle it?" And even questioning my ability to handle it when I have already had a solid career behind me was really disheartening to me. And it's something where you learn that you just you got to keep moving, keep going, and it's not easy. And there are days that I take off and say, you know what, I'm not going to think about work for a couple of days, or I'm not going to try for a couple of days, to give yourself a chance to recharge and then go back at it. Because eventually you will be successful.
Yeah, and that life lesson, you really take that to heart, that downtime, because you had a perfect storm meltdown not so long ago where you wanted to end it all. What happened? What caused that?
I think there were a few things. Sometimes having the chair can be really difficult, and you start to see yourself maybe not in a way that's reality, and I didn't value my life, the life that I had, and I went through a bad breakup, and then was going through a hard time with my career, and I wasn't sure where I wanted to go next, and it was all of these things that all happened at once, and it just brought me into a depression like I've never experienced before, and like I had never seen anyone in my life experience. So it felt very, very isolating.
What got you out of that dark place? Because I think people do kind of spiral downward to that place of hopelessness. What got you? What had you see the light?
I think there's a few things. First of all, I have a wonderful therapist, and I think that investing in your mental health, if you have the opportunity to do so, is the most important thing that you can do for not only for yourself, but for your relationships, for your career, everything. So it was having a good therapist, a great relationship with my parents, who I'm very fortunate, are supportive, and patience. I think that was the biggest thing that I learned through all of this, was I wanted to get better so quickly. And my therapist just said, you have to be patient. You have to be patient with everything. And it's not going to happen overnight. And I would get so frustrated because I would say, well, I want to be better now, and I don't understand. I'm working so hard to get better, and it's not happening yet. And I didn't understand it. It took me about a year to really understand what patience looked like. And even now it's hard to describe what it looks like, but you feel it. There's almost like a sense of calm.
Yeah, I hear you, sister, because blindness has taught me a lot about patience as well. So I'm with you. It's something that it is hard to put it to words. One of the things I appreciate about you is your honesty, good days, bad days, and everything in between. And most recently, you had kind of a jarring situation happen with a family of birds. What was that about?
So there was a family of birds living on my parents' back deck. They lived in, they built a little nest, and they had little baby birds. And the birds one day flew the nest, which is normal. And I couldn't handle it. I had grown very attached to these little babies. And I cried and I thought about it. And when you think about what is causing this sense of sadness, and we're all living through a very difficult time, being in the midst of a pandemic. So I think that was part of it. I think another part of it was realizing that perhaps I want a child one day, and that's never something that I'd given too much thought to before these little baby birds took over my heart.
Aww. Well, I know you're in your mid-30s now, and I know you're living with your parents, but you have strides to get back out there and live on your own again. And it can be hard sometimes to see others move on and feel like sometimes we're walking in quicksand, and to see those little birds go on and, not knowing what happened to them. Although I've always had the philosophy, what if we all had glass houses, right? Like, we don't know if Mr. and Mrs. Bird were actually happily married. We don't know if they have a wild child in their chicks as well, right? We just don't know. But I think it does say a lot about your heart and a lot about your desire to gobble life up. And so I'm just curious, what does living full out mean to you?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it, to me, it really means accepting yourself as you are. I think we all put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be a certain way, and then feel guilty if maybe we have a day where we're not appreciative of the life we have. And I think I've learned that not necessarily being happy, because I don't know if I'm there yet, but being content certainly comes from being able to accept those bad days, experience them, but then also, the next day get up and say, okay, well, I'm grateful for these things, and this is what I want to get done today. It's a constant balance of pushing yourself and then also accepting your shortcomings and not feeling guilty for them.
I love it. And, that is your superpower, Kristen, just how relatable and honest you are. And, I think you gave us, today we're talking about identifying life lessons, and I think you gave us many, many to run with. And I want to thank you so much for being on today's show, and we'll just keep positive wishes coming your way. Keep us posted.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. And for everybody listening today, we've just heard Kristen's story of kind of what she's overcome and living her life in a wheelchair, but yet all the dreams and goals she still has for herself. And so we're all going to have something. I got blindness, right? And the world is literally blurry, but yet my mind inside brings clarity to it. And I'm just curious, I want you to comment back to us, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Let us know what you're going through. If you have a tragedy that you've gone through, or a disability that you're managing, or a health scare or concern that you're dealing with on a daily basis, perhaps we can have you on the show as a guest, because that's what this community is about. We're all learning and growing and identifying those life lessons together. So reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com and make sure to give us your contact information and kind of a description of what you've gone through, and we'll definitely be reaching out to you. And as we journey through the rest of the show today, let today not be about focusing on the hurdles, the tragedies, the difficulties, but let today be a day about celebrating those wins, those life lessons that you've identified that have allowed you to grow as you live full out. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I'm Nancy Solari. It's the Living Full Out Show.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text.
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. So many comments on my comment. Hey, guys, check out my new video game. Mom, what? Huh? What'd you say?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Thanks for asking, but I'd rather not send you nude pictures. I'm camera shy. I already said no. It's against my religion. I'm giving my dog a bath. You can have pictures of that. Pressure gives me hives. Under my clothes, I'm a robot. Hold on, let me ask my mom. Sorry, my webcam is broken. I'm worried they'll get passed around school. Unfortunately, I just had my clothes surgically attached to my body. If they got out, I might never be president. I'm already naked, under my clothes. Not even if you were all three Jonas Brothers. I have a rash. I have nudophobia. I have lizard skin. The more you ask, the less I want to. You're not the boss of me. Nudity makes me vomit. I'm a vampire, so I don't show up in pictures anyways. Your badgering has really killed the mood.
When someone is pressuring you to do something you don't want to, how many ways can you say no before they get the message? Let us know at that'snotcool.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearms storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
Football
I want to be
stadium.
a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When it comes to identifying life lessons, you want to look at kind of those aha moments, those times where you had this, oh, I get it. Those are the lessons. And when you learn them, don't just keep them to yourself. Share them with your family and friends, because somebody else might have a hurdle similar to you, and you can inspire them to live full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Well, hello. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out show, and it has been so great to be here with you today and talking about identifying life lessons, because I actually get juiced up on this topic, because when you can identify something that you've learned, a way that you've grown, wow, now you can see that you are taking 2 steps forward. You're not really running in that quicksand or running in place. And so to me, that's exciting as you strive to live full out. And trust me, I am so with you all. We're all going to have different challenges. We're all going to have those moments of disappointments, but I really believe in journaling, being able to find a way to reflect in writing, what you learned over the course of a day, maybe at the end of the week or on the weekend when you have more downtime, looking back at your week and finding 5 things that you're grateful for or ways that you grew or learned. And then also, if writing's not your thing, take a recorder, put it in your car, put it in your purse. And whenever you have that aha, pull at that recorder and do a voice recording, or even in the notes on your phone, right? You could record it that way too. These are important. Your life is important. You got this novel of your life, your story, and you want to be able to share that, not just self-reflection of your own, but share that with friends and family around the fire pit or around the coffee table. People would love to know kind of what you're doing and how you've grown. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we have a listener on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for calling.
I just had a question.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could give me advice on how I can become a more well-rounded applicant for future job employers.
Such a great question. Well, I'm curious. So what are you applying for? What are you trying to do?
So I'm interested. I've been kind of worried about applying to grad school and then future jobs after grad school. And so I just want to know what can help me to stand apart from other applicants. What's most looked for?
Got a couple ideas for you. Okay. So number one, academics are important. The learning, the technical, the theory, the stats, right? That is all important. But also being able to show that you've been volunteering, that you've been giving back, not just to one organization, but kind of a variety. It could be Habitat for Humanity. It could be helping out a women's shelter. It could be, doing something even in another country. Showing that you're global, showing that you're kind of outside your box of your normal routine. The other thing too is having activities or hobbies that diversify you. When you're sitting in that interview with someone, you don't know, they might be a skier and you're a skier, right? They might like wine tasting and you like wine tasting. They might speak French and you do as well. You don't know what is going to create that bond. So you don't have to be a master at all of it, but you at least want to dabble to be able to have that connection. The other thing I think would be helpful would be to really identify in your mind, okay, what would be the dream job? Like, what is that title? What is that job description? And then maybe go onto a site like LinkedIn and see what people on there have that, are that. And maybe reach out to them and start a conversation, have a phone call, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever you want to do. Or if they're local to you, maybe even meet in person if you can, treat them to coffee or, even just ask them, hey, can I job shadow you for a day? Because people who get to a certain point, they want to pass along their knowledge. They want to pay it forward. They might say, you know what, I did this internship early in my life and wow, it really taught me a lot. Or, I wish I hadn't done that job because it kind of wasted my time. Do you see how you could do all those things?
Yeah, thank you. That was really helpful.
And the most important thing, and this is the biggest thing I want you to get, a resume is always going to be, in black and white, all the things that you do and know, but that cover letter, let that shine with your personality. I think you're great. Calling in today, you're courageous, you're smart, you're a go-getter. Let that shine in that cover letter. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. And
Thank you,
everybody,
you too.
I hope that you got a lot out of today's show. It's all about identifying the life lessons, not just letting them kind of cruise on by and not soaking them up. I want you to relish in them. I want you to learn from them. It is all about living your life full out, really going for it. And the entire Living Full Out family thanks you for listening today. We have Hale and Eilish and Rich and me and Caleb and so many people that want to make sure that you're out there doing it, not just talking about it, but actually living your dreams full out. And it's never too late to turn that page in your life story and say, you know what? This has not been the best chapter. Maybe the pandemic, maybe a bad job, maybe a bad relationship. Turn the page, soak up the life lessons from that experience, but know that you can turn that page, you can write a new chapter anytime you want. So for everybody listening today, I will wish you all the best, thinking of you always, and here's to you living your life in the biggest way possible. Go to livingfullout.com, check us out on all of our social medias because there's a lot of great education on there for you and inspiration. Most of all, go out there, live full out. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.